This is it. This is what I can afford. It's how much for leather seats?
It's how much for a sunroof?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hey y'all, if you're new here, I'm April.Kristine. Welcome to my channel. You know, I've noticed that I give a lot of attention to those of you who have come back or whatever, but if you are new here, hi, welcome. I really appreciate you being here and clicking on this video, and if you're interested, the family is still growing, so feel free to come and join us. And if you're not new here, hey boo, I see you coming back. I do have a sticker on my hand. I just realized it. Liliana gave me this sticker, and I've been trying to like keep it for as long as possible, so don't let it distract you. Also, let's address the elephant in the room. Her nails are not popping or whatever, but they're just taking a little break. They just need a little breather. We're trying to get, you know, it together. That's not why you're here. As you can see from the title, I started this series when my channel was first born, and it was literally just one video that I uploaded and then I didn't go back to it. But it's something I've wanted on my channel because I feel like it's important. This series is surviving your early 20s. I just feel like that's the most complicated time. Like, you feel like you're supposed to have it all together, but nobody really has it all together. Like, honestly, do we even still have it together? Because I know I don't. Like, it's a transition. You're going from high school, living with your parents, to moving out, maybe going to college, maybe moving out, but you're starting to be on your own financially, and that's mostly what this video is about. I feel like I'm slightly qualified for this just because I did move out of my parents' house when I was 18. I've literally been on my own ever since, obviously until I met my amazing husband, but I was on my own for a while. I was completely 1000% independent. I went to school on my own. I paid my way through college on my own. I worked 2 jobs in college, had my own apartment in college. I did everything on my own. I've always been very independent, but part of that is because I personally never had anybody to fall back on. Like, if I didn't make it on my own, what are you gonna do? That's why I like to share these tips with you. So if you're in the situation I was in, to where you really don't have too much guidance or you don't know which questions to ask, this is for you. Feel free to leave me any kind of questions you may have in the comment section. If you're not comfortable leaving a question down below, always feel free to DM me. I am always talking to you guys on Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, Snapchat. These are my socials. This is where you can find me, just in case you have some questions. And never feel embarrassed or scared or nervous to talk to me. Like, I love talking to you guys. I put out these videos so you guys know you can ask me questions. I'm here for you. So for today's surviving your early 20s topic, we're gonna talk about buying your first car, or just buying a car, period. Even if you are financially stable, you're married, you're not in your 20s, but you are looking to buy a new car, I just feel like these are some helpful tips. And when I say new, I don't necessarily mean like new 2020 off the lot. I mean like new to you, whether it's used, previously owned, however you acquire this car. Thanks. This is just tips that I wish I would have known and things that have helped me on my process to buy cars. Let's jump into the video. Let me just say, when I went to go buy my first car, I was humbled. I said, this is it. This is what I can afford. It's how much for leather seats?
It's how much for a sunroof?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That was my first experience learning about how truly expensive things are. And now with the pandemic and everything that's happening and rising costs, that has just rule number 1. If you don't take anything away from this video, please take this. Please, please, please shop in your budget. Please shop in your budget. I know of people and are very close to certain people who like to live outside of their means, and for me, that's just never been something I'm comfortable doing. I don't want to wind up in a situation to where my car might be repossessed, or I can't afford my car payments, or I didn't calculate things correctly to be able to afford the car that I'm going to purchase. All of these tips that I'm going to give you are ways to stay in your budget, but also just a few other things that I think are important to know. Number 1, please, please, please stay in your budget. And by staying in your budget, that means I need you to know what you can afford. There's a big difference between sticker price, how much the overall total of the car is, whether it be, I think my first car was like $12,000, $13,000. At the time in college, my first car, it was what I could afford. If you drive a truck in Texas, those notes are expensive. Just know the budget and how much you want to spend on a car. $25,000 is a lot of money, but also staying in your budget means knowing what you can afford monthly, because middle class people usually are month to month on bills. So what can I afford monthly? Let me calculate my rent, my groceries, my utilities, all of your monthly bills I would have calculated versus how much your income is for the month, and then see how much wiggle room you have to put towards a car. You obviously don't want to put the remaining balance of your monthly income towards a car, because things happen, things come up, especially if you have kids or whatever the situation may be. Just please be mindful of your budget. We want to make sure we know exactly what we can afford. That's also including your insurance. So another thing to be mindful of, tip number 2 is keep in mind your insurance. Keep in mind your age and your insurance. So if you don't know, female drivers are gonna cost more than male drivers. And also, the younger you are, the more your insurance is going to be. So your insurance actually doesn't reduce in price until you're 25. And that's because you're young, you're cute, you're reckless or whatever, like you wanna have fun. You're just more of a reliability if you're under 25.
You're only 20 years old. Give yourself some time.
Keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind with your insurance is what kind of car is more. Mustangs, muscle cars, sports cars, those cars you're gonna pay more in insurance than you will for like a sedan. Something that is not very fast, something that's 4-door, you're going to pay less for than you will for something that's 2-door. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're budgeting and when you're thinking about what kind of car you're gonna get. See if your insurance is going to change at all if you already have insurance. If you don't have insurance, you are going to need to have insurance before they let you drive the car off the lot. So that's just something to know. You will have to be on either your own insurance policy, which I highly do not recommend. It's going to be so much cheaper if you can get on your mom's, your dad's, your uncles, your grandma's, your grandpa's, anybody else's insurance who's older than you, who is established. If they allow you to be on their insurance, that's going to be the best option. It's just going to be a lot more expensive if you're on your own. If you're under the age of 25, if you pick some sort of sportsy car, that's all things to keep in mind when you are looking to buy a car. So that's another way to stay inside of your budget, is to know how much your insurance is going to be based on the car that you buy. Tip number 3. Another thing to consider before you go and buy a car is loans. So obviously you're going to, unless you know you're balling, which I don't know why you're here, because you can just go buy whatever you want. But if you are like me and you're in a budget, you also need to keep in mind your loan and who's going to finance your loan. How much of that is interest? So if none of that makes sense to you, that's why I'm here. First car, I was able to get the loan through the car dealership, which a lot of car dealerships do. My first and second car was actually that way. I hate car shopping with my entire soul. Like, it takes all day. Pack snacks. If you don't take anything away from this, stay in budget and pack some snacks if you're gonna go car shopping, because it is an all-day process. It takes literally forever. Sometimes it's 2-3 day process. You just never know. So pack some snacks. Anyways, so my first and second car was able to finance through the car lot that I was getting the finance through. Once I was in a situation to where I knew I wasn't gonna get the best deal at the dealership, I went out to outsource my own financing. So you can always go through a bank that you've been with for a while. A credit union, if you're working on your credit, is a really good place to start with financing. They're usually going to give you better rates as far as interest rates. So if your interest rate is 7%, then 7% of what they're charging you is gonna go towards them. So it doesn't go directly to your car payment, it goes back to the bank. So that's something to keep in mind, is if you're not getting approved through dealerships or you're having a hard time getting approved through dealerships, you can outsource your own financing through some sort of bank. A lot of times banks will tell you as low as 1.8 interest rate, and you have to have like really good credit for that to be the case. And when you're buying a new car, one thing that they are going to look at is your credit. So tip number 4 is knowing your credit and how credit works. This is very important because if you are in your early 20s, you're not going to have a lot of credit, which is going to be kind of a downfall because people don't know if you're reliable or not. People don't know if you're going to make your car payment. So then it's harder for you to get loans because you don't have any previous credit established. Ways you can get previous credit established is like gas cards. I would recommend. We all need gas. Just something simple, like maybe if you want to do a Walmart card or some sort of student credit cards, they have a lot of. Any kind of credit card is going to help you build your credit, but you have to be on time with payment. I personally, on my credit cards, have an automatic draft, so every time that it's due, it'll automatically just take out a certain amount from the bank account, so I never, overdraw or am late on those credit card payments. Credit is something that you're going to have to deal with. Also, it's a good thing to know that when you are car shopping, the more places you go look for cars at, the more people that are running your credit. And unfortunately, for some reason, the way that credit works is every time anybody runs your credit, it negatively affects your credit. So say I started the day at a 750 credit score. If I go to 4 different car lots, the next month, that is going to affect my credit score. My credit score is going to drop because the amount of people that ran my credit. So just be mindful of that when shopping for a car, because if you go and look 1 month and then you're like, maybe I'll wait, and then you go the next month and you're like, maybe I'll wait, and then you go 3 months later, your credit score is going to be lower than it was when you initially started looking for your car. It might not be that big of a difference, but your credit is what is going to get you the best deal as far as financing for your car. And if you don't know what it means to finance a car, that just means that the bank, whoever it is that finances it for you, they pay for the car, and then you then pay them back, and that's what the whole contract is about. So that's how you finance it. That's how your credit plays into your financing. Saying one way to get around the whole not having enough credit or not having the best credit is you can get a co-signer. So usually with the co-signer, it is a big deal to ask somebody to co-sign. Whoever's insurance you're going to be on, if you're comfortable enough asking them to co-sign for you, that would probably be the best option. You're going to get the best deal if somebody can help you finance that car. It is a big responsibility because they are relying on you to make your payments on time, to do everything you have to do on time, because if you don't, then it affects their credit as well. So then you are now using their credit to help you, but also you will be hurting their credit. If anything happens with that car, it's going to be on their credit. If the car gets repossessed, that's going to be on their credit. It is just a big responsibility to be a co-signer on somebody's car. So if somebody's asking you to co-sign on their car, I would just take into consideration how responsible that person is. If you really trust that person, financially, it's just a big deal. So if you have somebody to help you finance that car, amazing. If not, there are ways you can get it financed. It's just going to take some time, which I learned with my first car. I did have to go to a lot of people, see a lot of different things before I found a car. And that seems to always be the case for me. So the fifth tip, and another way you can stay in budget when looking for a car, is your salesman. It was always important for me to stay in my budget. That was my top priority. I never had this is the car I'm shopping. I never went in with that mindset simply for the fact that I didn't know what I could afford. So if you were like me and you don't know what you can afford, or if you're new to the whole finance and sticker price and interest price and what your total number is going to be, I personally, when I walk into car lots, I let whoever is my salesman, I let them know, this is my monthly budget. This is how much I can spend per month. Show me what you have. When I go to a car lot, I never go look at the lot because I have expensive taste. I'm always going to want something with bird's eye view and moon roofs and leather and upgrades and packages. And at the time, I couldn't be that girl because
She just couldn't afford it.
So anytime I finance a car, even when Horace got his new car, he did go look at it and he did decide on that car. And then it was up to me to get us where we needed to be financially. I personally, when I'm buying my own cars, I've never gone to the lot, fallen in love, and then not been able to get that car, because then that's how you wind up signing for something you cannot afford. So anytime I'm shopping for a car, I always tell the car salesman, this is my monthly, what I can afford. I can't do anything over this price. So if I could comfortably pay $400 on a car payment, and that's a lot. My first car payment was like $250, which this is why you should be here. Say I can afford $400 a month in a car payment.
I'm not going to tell him that.
He will know that I can afford $350 for a car payment or $300 for a car payment. Never tell them your max, because they're always going to try to get you there. And then by the time you sit down, do paperwork, add everything that needs to be added to the car, it's going to be more expensive than that. So you let them know what your base price is. I'm coming in, I can afford $300 a month on a car. I literally cannot do anything more than that. I've shopped around, but I'd like to see what you have on your lot that is in this price range for me. Then they will pull one, two, they might, and the thing about shopping on a budget, they might only have 3 or 4 cars for you. You're not going to have a lot of options when you're in that budget. You're not going to have a lot of wiggle room when you're in a tight budget, but where you're getting a car that can get you from point A to point B, something that's reliable, something that is going to last you, we're going to go to established credited car lots. We're not going to do any
sketchiness.
When you buy a car from any place that's sketchy or any place that is trying to sell you a Mercedes for $12,000, you don't want it. You do not want it. The maintenance on that car is going to be ridiculous. We want Hyundais, we want Hondas, we want sedans, we want Toyotas. These are the cars that we want when you're shopping for a car on a budget. Eventually in the future, you're going to kill it. You're going to have your dream car.
But right now,
That's not where we're at. So if you're not the type of person who can be stern with somebody and tell people no, and you're kind of hesitant and you're kind of shy, it is very important to go with somebody who will tell them, no, absolutely not. I've shopped with my old boss. She wanted me to buy cars. She's very like, no, absolutely not. And then I went with my grandma. She's helped me buy cars because she's very... And now I am the one in the relationship doing that. When we bought Horace's car, I had to tell the salesman, nope, absolutely not. No, thank you. We'll go look at something else. And you don't want to be, let me just say, that's not me being a Karen or being dramatic or being unrealistic. I completely understand that now things are more expensive and your budget might have changed, and the salesman is only going to be able to do so much. So I'm not going to give him a hard time. I'm just going to be stern about what I need and what I can afford, most importantly. Don't go in there being ridiculous, but do go in there with a stern, this is what I can afford, I have to stay in budget mindset. Another thing to know with your salesman is just know that the first price he comes back to you with, that's not, no, thank you. No, absolutely not. Because they can always do something better. They can always do better. It is their job to sell you something. And the more they get you to buy, the more money you spend with them, the more money they make off of the time that they've spent with you. We all need to make money, but I'm not the customer you can make your rent check on because I can't afford
To pay my own rent.
So they will have their customers, but you do not feel obligated to be that for them. The first price that they bring you back with, that is going to be your monthly payment before you get to financing. So, okay, remember, my budget is $300. If they tell you, we have this car that you fell in love with, it's the color that you wanted, it has this that you wanted, remember you really liked this about it, your salesperson will tell you, we can do $400 a month. You're gonna have all of this, you're gonna have things that you wanted, we're gonna fill up your gas tank for you. He's going to want to sell you on this $400 a month sticker price. No, thank you. Because even though you and I both know your budget is $400, we told him it was $300 because whatever he's telling you there is just the car payment alone. Once you go to financing, they're gonna ask you a million questions in financing. And once you get to financing, after you've chosen your car, you've already been approved for a loan, they're going to take you to the back to sign all these papers. They're going to ask you what kind of insurance you're gonna want for that car through them that's not through your insurance company. A lot of the time cars are like so many miles or so many years, whichever one you hit first, that's how long that car is covered. So if it's like 3 years, 70,000 miles, that means Car Factory has guaranteed their product for 3 years, or up until 70,000 miles is what they will cover. So if something happens to your car and you've had it for less than 70,000 miles and or less than 3 years, they are required to fix it. This is where the car lot tries to sell you something on top of that. I would definitely ask people questions as far as what they recommend. I was always told that you should absolutely always have gap insurance, because that means if I were to be in a car wreck and my car was totaled or my car was stolen or whatever the case may be, my car will be paid off with that gap insurance. I won't have no car plus the $12,000 that I owe on this car on my credit. It will be covered, but it's just going to be more money. Price that the salesman comes back to you at, if it's already out of your budget or already your max, you can't do it. I'm sorry, we have to find something else, or I will go find something else somewhere else. So at that point, he's going to walk to the back. He's going to talk to whoever he needs to talk. He's going to find different ways to get his price down. There's always wiggle room for them to take off prices of this and lower prices of this. There's just different ways for them to figure it out. You just want to make sure that the number that he brings back to you is well enough under your maximum budget for you to go to finance and make responsible decisions over there. So all of this is just staying in budget. Those are things to know about financing. Those are things to know about warranties and how they work and what they call those things. I'm trying to tell you so much information, but it's honestly a lot. I know it seems like a lot. It is a lot. It is a big responsibility to buy a car. That's why I need you to take your time. I need you to be patient. I need you to be stern on your budget. I need you to ask questions. If you don't know what something means, if you don't know what a rebate is, or you don't know what gap insurance is, or you don't know what something is, ask them. please. I don't want you to get into something that's unreliable. I don't want you to get into something and then you're upside down. But these are just really important things to keep in mind when you're shopping for a car. It can be overwhelming to go and look for a car. I, most of the time, because I am smaller and a female and Latina, they think that I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know what I'm talking about. So go in there confident and go in there ready to find you a deal. And again, if you are not that type of person, if you are not one to put your foot down, take somebody with you. Ask somebody to please go and be the person to say something, because I would hate for you to go in somewhere and be taken advantage of, because it definitely does happen, especially in car sales. It's just important to know some of these key things. And again, if you are in a situation, if you have a question, please, please, please message me, comment, let me know. Any way you can get a hold of me, definitely do that. I am absolutely here to help you guys. I personally know how hard it is to feel like you're on your own and feel like you don't understand how to adult. It's hard, it's complicated, it's a lot, but hopefully if you have nobody to ask, I can be that for you. It was very hard for me to figure out. I made some bad decisions. I've put myself in situations by falling in love with something I couldn't afford. It's just a situation. I want you to be in the best hands possible. I want you to be responsible. I want you to make sure you can afford to live inside your means and not be stressed because you can't afford your car payment. I just want you to be in a good headspace, and I literally want the best for you. I'm so proud of you for watching this video. If you're thinking about getting a car, or if you're just curious or you're preparing to go get a car, I'm so proud of you for a while. I hope you find something you can afford. I hope you don't get overwhelmed. If there's anything I didn't cover or anything that you can think of that important to know, let me know in the comments. I will pin that comment. So if there's anything in the comments that's pinned, that's questions that other people had. That's all for today's video. Those are the things that I think are very important when going to buy a car. If you are in your early 20s, even if you're not in your early 20s, but you're on a tight budget, I just think it's important to know what you're about to get yourself into, how to be responsible about it and ask the right questions. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything you have an idea that might be helpful for somebody in their 20s that you struggled with in your 20s, or you're young and you just need information on something, the last video that I posted on this was things to know before you move out or getting a new apartment. So this one is getting a car. I can also do some things on credit. Literally anything, just let me know what you need a video like this about and I will do my best to get that to you. But yeah, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye. Husband pulled the balloon string instead of just unwrapping it from there, so there's a balloon string stuck. Let me go turn off the fan. Do I look okay? Let me know in the comment section down below if I look okay. Where did all this fuzz come from? And let me get rid of this. Blue Hyundai Dad. Okay, look, I love to film in front of natural light. I love what it does for me, but it's constantly changing. And if you see that, I'm so sorry. But I could close it, but I don't really want to. But anyways, so just ignore it. What was I saying? I haven't eaten today, and I feel like it's gonna hit me hard. Your budget, your monthly budget. What was I saying? Bro. All right. Tip number 3 was, what was I saying? Tip number 3. Oh, financing. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk faster, or let's just stay on topic. All right, y'all. My camera is literally being ridiculous. It's overheating. I don't know what's happening, so we switched cameras. A lot of... You guys. Haley, Shorty's picking up Lil for me today, and she just called me because she can't find Liliana. They can't find her. A student just went up to Haley and told her they can't find her. She ran off. Excuse me? Where's the teacher? Where's the principal? Where's the counselor? Where's the security? Like, excuse me? What do you mean she ran off? They found her. It's fine, but we had to pause. If this video is all over the place, and I'm so sorry because we're supposed to be serious. You're supposed to have your notebooks out. You're supposed to be taking notes. When I tell you my heart is beating so fast. Let's get back into this. What were we talking about? financing, certified pre-owned. Those are just, oh my god, that, you see my hand in the reflection of this picture? It scared the crap out of me. I need to go eat something.